That's the overture to Little Abner. It's 14 minutes before 2 o'clock here at the Nation Station as we await further word on President Kennedy's condition. Repeating what Bill Robbins has told you just a moment or two ago, the president has been rushed to a hospital. We, of this moment, have received no further details, reports on his condition. So we shall await those words as they will be coming from Dallas shortly, I would presume. And in the meantime, continue with recorded music by Percy Faith.
Further word from Dallas on the shooting of President Kennedy this afternoon. The latest add to the original story that the president had been shot, and a Secret Service agent assigned to Mrs. Kennedy said the president was dead. He was rushed to Parkland Hospital. And further word says that reporters about 5 car lengths behind the chief executive heard what sounded like 3 bursts of gunfire. Secret Service agents in a follow-up car quickly unlimbered their own rifles and drew their pistols, but the damage was done. The president was slumped over in the back seat of the car, face down. Texas Governor Connally lay on the floor on the rear seat. It was impossible to tell at once where President Kennedy was hit, but bullet wounds in Connally's chest were plainly visible, indicating the gunfire might possibly have come from an automatic weapon. 3 loud bursts of fire were heard. Dallas motorcycle officers escorting the president leaped from their bikes and raced up a grassy hill. That's all the information we have. No indication of where the shots actually came from, who fired them, or whether the person or persons are in custody. The only indication we have that the president might be dead was the statement by Clint Hill, the Secret Service agent assigned to Mrs. Kennedy, who said he's dead when the president was lifted from the rear of the White House touring car and rushed to Parkland Hospital. The governor of Texas also apparently was seriously wounded. That's the only information we have on the assassination attempt on President Kennedy at Dallas, Texas, a short time ago. We'll keep you posted as the further reports come into the WLW ComX newsroom.
This is an NBC News Bulletin. We take you now to Robert McNeil, NBC News in Dallas, Texas.
Several shots were fired today as President Kennedy's motorcade passed through downtown Dallas. A police officer at the scene said he believed the president had been wounded and has been taken to hospital. People screamed and lay down in the grass as the shots were heard as the motorcade went by. Police immediately fanned out over a wide area. A small Negro boy and a white man said they had seen a man with a gun in the window of a building overlooking the route. This is Robert McNeil, NBC News in Dallas, Texas.
This has been a Hotline Special Report. Stay tuned to your NBC station for other Hotline reports and for the late developments on the NBC News on the Hour.
Percy Faith and his orchestra, and we will at this particular point continue with recorded music as we await further word on President Kennedy's condition. In case you have missed the earlier reports from Dallas, Texas, where Mr. Kennedy has been on tour, the report received just about 25 minutes ago that the president was fired upon by an unknown sniper. 3 shots were heard, and the president and also the governor of Texas have been rushed to a hospital in Dallas. As of this moment, we have no further word on the condition of either President Kennedy or the governor of Texas. We'll be standing by and in the meantime dispense with our regularly scheduled program and presentation of the original recording of Little Abner this afternoon. So we urge that you stay with us here on the Nation Station for late news. As it comes in, you will get it immediately. It's 4 minutes before 2 o'clock. approaching news time here at the Nation Station. I'll remind you this is WLW in Cincinnati. We urge you to stay tuned for any further bulletins from Dallas on the condition of President Kennedy, who was fired upon today by an unknown sniper, wounding the president and also the governor of Texas. I suspect some details coming up now on NBC News at 2 o'clock.
This is NBC News. Here is Peter Jfk'S in Washington.
President Kennedy has been shot. As of now, there is no final official report on his condition. Here now, piece together the news items we have as they have reached us from Dallas, Texas. Within the hour, President Kennedy and Texas Governor John B. Connally were cut down by would-be assassins' bullets as they toured downtown Dallas in an open automobile. Representative Albert Thomas, Democrat of Texas, says he's been informed the president and Governor Connally were both still alive after having been shot in an assassination attempt. Thomas, standing outside the corridor of the emergency room in which both Mr. Kennedy and Connally were under treatment, said he's been told the president was still alive, but in very critical condition. The president, his limp body cradled in the arms of his wife, was rushed to Parkland Hospital. The governor also taken to Parkland. A Secret Service agent, Clint Hill, a man assigned to protect Mrs. Kennedy, said he's dead as the president was lifted from the rear of a White House touring car, the famous bubble-top car which was sent to Dallas from Washington. He was rushed to an emergency room in the hospital. Other White House officials who were questioned about it say they were in doubt. The corridors of the hospital, of course, in pandemonium. The incident occurred just east of a triple underpass facing a park in downtown Dallas, Texas. Associated Press reporter Jack Bell reports 3 shots were fired as the presidential motorcade entered a triple underpass in Dallas that leads to the Stemmons Freeway. After the president was shot, the Secret Service waved the motorcade on at top speed to the nearby Parkland Hospital. Here in Washington, the White House press office said at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that it has nothing beyond press information on the shooting. Kennedy apparently was shot in the head. He fell face down in the back seat of his car. Blood was on his head. Mrs. Kennedy cried, "Oh no," and tried to hold up his head. Governor Connally remained half-seated in the car, slumped to the left. There was blood on his face and forehead. The president and the governor were rushed to the hospital as quickly as possible. Mr. Kennedy was to have made a speech at the Dallas Trade Mart, not far from the hospital. Reporters about 5 car lengths behind the chief executive heard what sounded like 3 bursts of gunfire. Secret Service agents in a follow-up car quickly unlimbered their automatic rifles and their pistols, but the damage apparently has been done or had been done. We switch now for a direct report to Robert McNeil, NBC News, Dallas.
President Kennedy was shot at today by a gunman from a building along the route as he drove through downtown Dallas. He has been rushed to hospital bleeding. Texas Senator Ralph Yarborough says the president is seriously wounded. Mrs. Kennedy, who was sitting beside him in the open car, was not hurt, but the governor of Texas, John Connally, was also reported wounded. As the shots rang out, 3 shots as the motorcade went by, people screamed and lay down on the grass. Police immediately fanned out over a wide area. They found several witnesses, including a small boy, who said he saw a man in the window of a building overlooking the parade route with a gun in his hand. President Kennedy is now in the Parkland Memorial Hospital. An accurate estimate of his condition has not been given. Congressman Yarborough of Texas says only that the president is seriously wounded. This is Robert McNeil, NBC News, at the Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas, Texas.
The Secret Service says the president remains in the emergency room. The governor has been moved to the general operating room of Parkland.